They said Soliana was too beautiful for her own good. But beauty had never been something she asked for. Before we dive into this beautiful story of Soliana, please like, comment and subscribe. That will make me happy. Born in the heart of the city, Soliana grew up in a cramped apartment with peeling walls and neighbors who fought over electricity bills. Her family wasn't rich, nor were they influential. But wherever she went, eyes followed her. By the time she turned 16, strangers stopped her on the street just to compliment her. Taxi drivers refused to take her fare. Market women whispered behind her back. Men, both young and old, invented reasons to talk to her. At first, it felt harmless. A free bus ride here, a shopkeeper giving her extra groceries there. But as she grew older, admiration turned into obsession. Married men hovered around her with bold excuses. Her classmates fought over who would sit next to her. Even teachers acted strangely in her presence, offering her grades she didn't earn just to stay close. Soliana hated it. She wasn't arrogant. In fact, she tried her best to fade into the background. She wore baggy clothes, tight scarves around her head, and avoided makeup. But nothing worked. People still stared. People still whispered. People still wanted her. By the time she entered the corporate world, her beauty had become a curse. At her office, women sharpened their claws against her, accusing her of affairs she never had. One colleague, jealous and bitter, deliberately deleted her report before a major presentation, just so Soliana would fail. Another whispered that she had seduced the manager, a lie that spread through the company like wildfire. The men at work weren't any better. They hovered too close at lunch, sent her late-night messages, and offered her rides home she didn't ask for. One even showed up at her doorstep with a ring, proposing to her despite the fact they'd barely spoken outside the office. Everywhere she went, chaos followed. Friendships shattered because of her. Engagements broke because men compared their fiancés to her. And women? Women hated her with a passion she couldn't explain. One evening, after another long day of whispers and stares, Soliana collapsed into tears in her cousin Mariel's apartment. Her mascara smeared across her cheeks as she whispered, "Why can't they just let me live? Why does everyone either want me or hate me?" Mariel sighed, her face heavy with something unsaid. Then she told her cousin the truth, a story Soliana had never heard before. Years ago, Soliana's mother had crossed paths with a spiritualist. An angry rival had cursed her bloodline. "Your daughter will never know peace in love. Her beauty will be her downfall. Men will lose themselves over her, and women will despise her. She will walk in beauty but live in chains." At first, Soliana laughed bitterly. A curse? In this modern city? Impossible. But deep down, as she wiped her tears, she felt the heavy truth in Mariel's words. Because no matter how much she tried, she couldn't escape the eyes that followed her everywhere. Her beauty wasn't just a gift. It was a trap. If you watched to this part, that means you loved the story. Don't forget to subscribe. The curse revealed itself more violently as Soliana grew older. By the time she was 25, the city seemed to spin around her, not because she wanted it, but because men were willing to risk everything just to have her. One of her neighbors, a married man named Tadeo, became a constant shadow. At first, he offered to help her carry groceries. Then, he started fixing things in her apartment without being asked. Before long, his wife stormed to Soliana's door, screaming insults and accusing her of seduction. Soliana tried to explain, but the woman spat in her face and left. From that day, whispers filled the building. "She's breaking marriages. She's a home wrecker." At her workplace, things spiraled even faster. Her boss, a man twice her age, slipped expensive gifts onto her desk. Soliana rejected them quietly, but rejecting him came with consequences. Suddenly, her projects were reassigned. Her hard work was erased. Colleagues started looking at her like she was both privileged and cursed. The tension reached its peak when two male colleagues nearly fought in the office over who would drive her home. Chairs flew, insults rang out, and management had to intervene. Yet the blame somehow still fell on Soliana. "She leads them on," they whispered. "She enjoys the attention." But she didn't. In fact, she began shrinking into herself. She stopped attending office parties. She changed her phone number twice in 3 months. She even moved apartments, but men still found her. One evening, as she returned home, she noticed a bouquet of roses at her door with a card that read, "If I can't have you, nobody will." Fear took root in her bones. Her cousin Mariel's words echoed in her head. Her beauty will be her downfall. Men will lose themselves over her, and women will despise her. At first, Soliana resisted believing it. But how could she deny it now? Every man who looked at her seemed to want to claim her. Every woman who met her seemed to resent her. Even friendships couldn't survive her presence. Her childhood friend, Riona, once confided in her about a fiancé. Within weeks, the man started sending Soliana late-night messages declaring how much he admired her. When Riona found out, she ended the friendship, accusing Soliana of betrayal. Soliana never responded. She was too tired of defending herself for sins she didn't commit. At night, she lay awake, staring at the ceiling, asking the same questions over and over. Is this all my life will be? Stares, whispers, and blame? Will I ever know love that isn't poisoned by envy or obsession? The curse was no longer a story told by Mariel. It was her reality. One rainy evening, as she walked back from the train station, she noticed a figure following her under the dim glow of street lights. Her heart raced. She quickened her pace, but the footsteps echoed hers. When she finally turned, she recognized him. A man from her office, eyes wild, drenched by the rain. He smiled, his voice trembling as he said, "You don't know what you do to me. I can't stop thinking about you." Soliana froze. In that instant, she realized the curse wasn't just destroying her peace. It was pushing people around her to the edge of madness. And this time, she wasn't sure she could escape unharmed. Soliana's world had become a cage, not of bars but of whispers, eyes, and obsession. Each day, she woke up to new rumors about who she was entangling with, even when she hadn't left her apartment. Every man who crossed her path, the security guard downstairs, the lecturer at her design workshop, the quiet neighbor who fixed his car in the evenings, soon acted differently around her. Some brought gifts she never asked for. Some sent messages at midnight. Some simply stared too long, as if bewitched. One evening, her reflection in the bathroom mirror caught her off guard. She looked tired, her once radiant eyes dulled by sleepless nights. "Am I really cursed?" she whispered. She pressed her palm to the glass, as if the mirror might answer back. But only silence stared at her. That was when an idea struck her. If a curse had been spoken over her, then maybe a blessing could be spoken back. Not from priests in robes or mothers with oil, but from herself. She decided she would not beg for peace, she would claim it. The next morning, instead of hiding indoors, she dressed boldly. A red fitted dress, silver earrings glinting like daggers of light. She walked to the cafe where the whispers had started weeks before. As expected, the men inside turned, their eyes glued to her every step. But this time, Soliana didn't lower her head. She stood at the center, her voice cutting through the hum of chatter. "I know what you all say about me," she began, her words sharp but steady. "You call me cursed because men look my way. You blame me for the weakness of others. You say I don't belong to anyone, so I must belong to everyone." She paused, letting the tension grow thick in the air. Then, she lifted her chin higher. "But I am not cursed. I am simply seen. And I will not carry shame for the way God made me." A stunned silence fell. Some men shifted uncomfortably in their seats. A few women in the cafe, who had once looked at her with suspicion, now looked with something closer to respect. Later that night, as Soliana returned home, she found a small package at her door. Inside was a note. "Your strength broke something today. Don't stop." No name was written. No clue who had left it. But it felt like the first crack in the chains that had bound her. The curse had never truly been in her body. It had lived in the minds of people, fueled by envy and desire. And though it would not vanish overnight, Soliana had found a weapon sharper than gossip, her voice. From that day on, she walked the city streets differently. Not untouched, not unchallenged, but unafraid. Because sometimes, the only way to break a curse is to refuse to believe in it anymore. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe for more.